Men valued wartime and they valued strength more than they valued motherhood, and that has always been true.
That's an absurd.
Gonna be reacting to some clips from the Whatever podcast, specifically the ones with this amazing feminist. All right, let's go.
Okay, we can talk about grievances. We can talk about oppression. Look, ultimately, my view is that, you know, women often say, "Oh, the wage gap. This, I have this grievance over here, grievance over there. I can't mansplaining, manspreading, whatever."
Yeah.
All of women's collective grievances are overshadowed by one sole grievance of men, and that is forced military conscription.
Sure.
So,
Well, I don't think that forced military conscription was the...
well, warfare has been, let's say, forced upon the vast majority of men. I suppose there are some volunteers.
Sure.
Also, however, you can make the argument that society sort of created this glory around warfare, and, you know, back in the 1800s, back in World War I, there weren't like, people weren't really tuned in to like, they didn't have TV and like reenactments and VFX to really recreate the brutality of war. They didn't have Saving Private Ryan. They didn't have All Quiet on the Western Front. World War I and World War II were the most brutal, especially World War I with the trench warfare.
I mean, I definitely agree with that to an extent, right? Like, speaking as a soldier, I don't know if I would want to be in a battlefield anytime soon. Back then, I'd say, how much understanding did people really have of warfare, right? Because you think about it, right? And honestly, I'd say the general population was probably pretty uneducated, but I feel like you had to be pretty damn stupid to not understand how terrible war is. I think then and even now, there's people who sort of live for that and they strive for that and they want that. Like people in military service now who volunteer want to be in those combat situations, but for the majority of men, yeah, that's fucking horrible. I can't imagine being forced into that.
Absolutely brutal.
I'm aware.
And so that sole grievance of that was exclusive to men, warfare, throughout all of human history, men were tasked, let's say, it's not even tasked, men were forced to go and fight and die horrible.
Yeah, so the thing with like men being tasked and forced throughout all of human history, the reason it's so common across cultures, I think one of the biggest ones is population, right? So extreme example, but you know, you have like one person, you have one guy left and you have 20 women, for example. You can probably repopulate, although you'll run into a lot of issues there. But in the opposite, you really can't. You can't have one woman and 20 guys because that doesn't really help your situation. Women are a lot more valuable when it comes to population and that sort of thing. That's just one of the. There are other reasons. There's physical capability and all that, but yeah.
Deaths and come back maimed and come back injured and have post-traumatic stress disorder. This sole grievance of men, and there are many grievances men do have, this sole grievance outshadows.
Brian, this was also during a time where we thought that men should lead, men should be the breadwinner, the household earner, they should be the strong man, masculinity was valued, femininity was spit on during this time.
That's not true.
Yes, there are trade-offs.
That is not true.
See, what? Okay, so she's trying to rationalize that because men were meant to be leaders, that was the reason that they're drafted. I mean, I think it's kind of a hand-in-hand thing, right? The men are leaders because they are capable of protecting, and because they are capable of protecting, they are then drafted. I don't understand. Women are, at that time especially, just throughout all of human history, we're at a severe disadvantage physically. I mean, weapons are an equalizer, right? But let's say before things like guns were made, I don't understand how the average woman was going to be a leader and protect herself against men without much morality or raiders and that kind of thing, which was pretty common. So I don't understand her point. I guess she's trying to say that men deserve. Well, I guess the title makes sense. Men deserve to be drafted because they're they were leaders. Okay, I mean, sure. I don't understand her point about femininity being spit on, though. I feel like the whole point of like gentleman culture and men being gentlemen and those sort of advertisements, even in like the early 50s, 60s, like until very recently, actually, I think femininity was that thing that most men found beautiful and saw that they should strive to get better to attain that in a woman, obviously, to attain a woman who has that. So I don't think it's been spit on. I think, honestly, especially now, it's like the most valued thing because it's so rare to find a truly feminine woman. There's plenty of feminine men now, though, but
yes, there are trade-offs.
Femininity was not spit on.
Yes, men valued wartime and they valued strength more than they valued motherhood, and that has always been true.
That's an absurd statement.
That has always been true.
What?
Men do not value
Well,
war.
agree to disagree then.
Men do not
But
value war.
when you give yourselves the baton, you have to wield it. You shit in your bed, and now you have to fucking lay in it.
like she can't be okay. Feminism, right? Men don't value war. I think so. People who go to war are celebrated because they went through something horrible, and they defended people like you or her. Speaking as if I'm speaking to her. People fought their asses off for people like her to be able to express this opinion and live freely or as freely as possible in a society. And that's something to be celebrated. People don't celebrate war. Like, that's just not a thing. People don't go around saying, yeah, sure, there are jingos out there, right? Like, there are people who love war, I'm sure. But, like, that's not even close to being the majority of men. That's such a small minority of people that actively want war. I think if everybody on this earth, or at least 99% of people on this planet could wave a wand and have world peace and everyone's happy and there's no war, they would do that. Like, I don't understand this sort of like cynical point of view, but it's what you get for feminism, I guess. On to the next one.
I think that what we should be teaching men is restraint. And I think that you probably grew up with restraint. I think that, your parents probably were like, men and women are different and you need to respect women and you need to make sure that your sexual desires, or maybe you didn't have this talk explicitly, but you at least knew in yourself that you needed to control those urges because you are bigger and stronger than women and you need to be respectful to them. Mm-hmm. So that's what I say when I say that men are animals and when I say that you are predisposed to certain behavior. I don't think.
No, that's not a thought process of a normal man. What the fuck? A normal man doesn't sit there and hit puberty and go, wow, I'm bigger and stronger than women. I can't rape them. So for the early developmental years of a man, right, they're generally weaker than women, I'd say. Like, as a kid, I have two sisters. Definitely weaker than women as a kid. Women tend to grow and hit puberty a bit faster and hit their peak a lot faster than men. So this would have to happen during or after puberty, so around your teenage years in high school. I'd say your sexual desires are probably at its highest that it'll ever be in high school, probably, or go through puberty and your early adulthood. But if you have the thought of actively harming other people, that's silly. Because if that's the case, every time I get mad, why would that not also apply? Why would that be specific to sexual aggression? Or maybe she's saying all male aggression in general. We have to remind ourselves not to do it, which is just weird. I think everyone has moments where they're angry or they have aggression in them, and they might have to tell themselves hey, I can't do this. But for that one specifically, I don't know, that's fucking weird.
I think that every man is I think that certainly every man has the predisposition to possibly want to rape, but I don't
That's
think
every
bro, that's ridiculous.
That's just not true.
Also, you can't say that.
So that's just not true. Because that goes under the assumption all men are the exact same in temperament and desires, which just isn't true. Like, if you want to talk sexual, right? Like, you look at something as simple as like kinks. Like, you'll be hard pressed to find a bunch of people with the exact same kinks. So same for men. Like, there are men who are like hyper vanilla versus people who are like hyper into BDSM or into play like that, where it's like you act out scenarios like that. Like, the amount of men who think that's fucking weird is a lot higher than I think she realizes. And you know, when you grow up with a mother or sisters or cousins who are female, or you know, an aunt, grandmother, like, that's such a weird mindset. And I think honestly she's not speaking about men, she's speaking about her perception of men, right? Because she's afraid of men, because she looks like she's very small. Like, I'm a small guy, but I think she like 5'2", 5'1"? She looks very tiny. I think she's like the smallest one on the panel. So I can understand. So she has a fear. I don't know if something happened to her when she was like younger that made her like afraid of men, which, if that's the case, you know, get therapy. But all men are not the same. And most of us are not fucking horrible to the point we have to sit there. Oh no, don't essay this person, even though she's hot, you know? Like, it's just weird. That should not be. Okay.
How is that ridiculous?
That's
You're saying
because we're strong.
feels like wants to do that?
It's like
No,
there are
I'm
men
saying
stronger
that
than
they all
me.
have the
Does that mean-
predisposition. They all have male sexual aggression. They all have testosterone.
that's incredibly
men
a
don't have
sexist statement to
male
make.
sexual
Like,
aggression.
you're basically
How is that a sexist statement? We know that that is true. Most of who commits violent crime is male. Most of who commits sexual violent crime is male. This is ridiculous.
That's the apex fallacy.
Yeah, most.
You're looking at people who.
So the majority of people with high IQs that are above the rest of society are male. So by her logic, the only smart people are men, or all men are have the potential to be geniuses, or all men are naturally geniuses, but they stop for some reason. Like, I don't understand the thought process here, because if you take literally any good small percentage of people, like any good statistic, right? And it's that tiny in comparison to the whole, like, she wouldn't apply that, I'm sure, that, well, yeah, men generally have the potential to be just smarter than women, which just isn't true. That's not how stats work. Like, you take in the minority of men. The minority of men commit sexual assault. So I don't understand, like, yeah, all men are predispositioned. Clearly not, because it would probably be more than the minority of men in a stable society. Like, I don't understand, like, that we don't have that predisposition to do that. I think but even in, like, a lot of animals, their whole thing is courting the opposite gender, you know? So same with men, like, we do things in order to win the favor of women. I think you could see sexual aggression when they fail, in some men, when they fail over and over again. But the majority of men, one, they won't fail to ever even get to that point, and two, even if they did, the majority of men who fail and are sexless don't end up hurting someone. I think there's a lot of trauma involved with that. I don't understand her point. Like, it's just stupid. It's just the dumbest idea I've heard so far.
Crime is such a small percentage of men. You can't attribute to all men the actions of some.
How are
illogical.
80% of women sexually harassed or sexually assaulted?
Well, that's self-report.
I reject
one in
that
six-
stat.
Yeah, that's
statistic.
self-report.
Okay, well, you can reject whatever you want.
So when you say 80%, the numbers, that's 80%. You'd have to look at who reported, who were they. There's such a small amount of men who have been proven to even be guilty of that in comparison to the whole, of course. Like, 80%, what does that mean? Does that mean somebody looked at them for a very long time? Like, everybody's gauge for that would be different. Were they on a date and the person moved in and kissed them maybe early without asking them? Like, there's so many factors to that. Like, you have to question things these days, and I think like trying to say 80% of women, even if that's the case, majority of men aren't predators in any way. So that would mean they were still just harassed by this minority of men. Like, all men aren't doing this. So either way, I don't know how that would even prove her point, but pop off, sis.
What remains true and what is material reality is that men are more sexually aggressive, and one of the reasons that we are different is male sexual aggression.
What do you mean by sexual aggression?
That's one of a
I want
million.
to be very precise in the words.
That's one of a. That's one of a million ways men and women are different, but we're more alike than different. So I don't understand the point. Like, oh, it's because of male sexual aggression that we're different. No, the consequence of us being different is that yes, men are stronger. Men have more testosterone. They're more akin to aggression, but it's not even a big difference in aggression between men and women like that. Isn't it like 60-40 or something like that? Like, so I don't understand. It's just that at the extremes, it becomes like overwhelmingly men. Like, that's just kind of how extremes work in society. So it's like the same thing with the geniuses thing. Like, majority of people with very high IQ are men, but that doesn't mean men are smarter than women on average. So whatever.
Precisely, what do you mean by sexual aggression?
Sexual aggression.
But
testosterone predisposes you to be aggressive.
Men have higher sex
to be
drives.
aggressive, not
yes, but they're more aggressive in general.
Yeah, in general.
Yes, sure. Yeah. I don't disagree with you.
That
men
has
are
nothing
more
to do with sexual aggression.
Because of
so what's the problem?
Testosterone. Well, and men, your statement was
she's confused with the fact that, or I don't even think she's confused. I think I don't think she's being malicious. I think she genuinely believes what she's saying. I think she's just kind of stupid. But I think she just has dumb ideas from like however she was raised or whatever traumatic thing she went through to make her hate men. But I don't even know where to begin. Like, yes, aggression is more common in men, but that does not mean sexual aggression. Like, men fight other men. Does she understand this? Or fight women in a non-sexual way, or assault people in general in non-sexual ways. Saying men are more aggressive in general does not help your point, really. It just kind of goes against it, where you're saying, well, men have more sexual aggression. No, they just have more aggression. So sexual aggression would just be a subcategory of aggression. As a whole, like, yes, men are more aggressive, so everything aggressive, for the most part, outwardly, men are gonna do more often. But women are aggressive in their own way. I think the way we talk about aggression, like, they're more manipulative, I'd say, most likely. Like, the way women interact and act out their aggression is completely different. We may not see that as aggression. A lot of theirs is like mental and social destruction between one another, which is aggression. It's just acted out differently.
Was that all men have this potentiality?
Yeah, it's just
to
stupid.
They do.
That's silly.
Being a man,
that's a sexist statement.
Having testosterone coursing through your veins.
I have a different statement.
Women
for you.
have testosterone, and there are women with more testosterone than other women. So, and testosterone does not mean there are people with high testosterone that don't sexually assault people. That would not be the deciding factor.
Men that would never do something like that. How about that?
We'd all like to think that.
Yes, most men are not out there committing crime.
Yeah,
it's an apex fallacy. You're looking at a small proportion of men.
I know that most men are not. I'm saying that they have the propensity to.
The
so
criminality.
That does not mean that every man is doing.
If you have hands, a mouth, or private parts, you have the potential to be a sexual predator by that, no matter your age or anything, by that metric. Like, I don't understand what she's trying to say. Like, yes, men could be a sexual predator, but not all men have the potential to. Like, we're not talking. I think physically, yes, they could be. Mentally and acting it out, that's not how that works. Like, I think and all men aren't stronger than all women, so I don't understand that point. What about the women who are stronger than some of the men? You know, like, what if there's like some really strong woman out there who's stronger than me? Does that mean I should be scared she's gonna sexually assault me? What if she's taking testosterone? What if they're transgender? Like, by that argument, when women take testosterone to, you know, transition, her argument is that they're turning themselves into predators. Is that her argument? That our society is actively making predators, like some fucking evil villain creating an army of soldiers? Like, what the fuck? What is her point? Like, just, I don't understand how you get that. The mentality of most men is not the same.
But every man could.
I think
sure, anyone, but any man or woman could commit any number
Yes.
Great,
of
but
crimes.
men are more
Saying
likely
they're more
to.
likely, that doesn't mean
That is
all
just
men.
true.
I think
Let me ask you a question. Would you make that same argument if we changed the conversation from sex to race?
What do you mean?
Is there a race that might be more likely to commit certain crimes?
Yes.
Oh boy, we know which one that is.
Okay.
When we're talking about...
We know which one that is, boy.
Intellectually and logically
shit.
consistent. So,
Oh
Yeah.
no. Oh no.
go on.
Go ahead. I talk about
How
this
am
all
I
day. This
gonna
is my
stop
job. If you're trying to get me to bite like a racist bullet, I'm not fucking afraid to talk about statistics.
Wait, I actually want to know. Like, no shade.
So she's afraid of
Well,
black
interested.
people.
Look, okay, I want to get back to kind of
Okay.
what I was.
Oh
I
no.
feel like I've missed my
Oh
place here a little
no.
bit. First off, most men are good men.
We
But
all
never
know they talk about
commit
black people.
such
Like,
a
come
heinous
on, bro.
crime.
Sure.
We do
Um,
commit the majority of the
But I do
crimes. So
think
she's
it's
saying
a
she's
sexist
afraid of
statement
black
to say
men
that
specifically.
all men or most men have the potential
Oh
to do that.
no.
When I look at a man, I don't see the potential to be a criminal. When
Oh yeah,
I
she's
see,
a jaded.
I see
You're a man,
positivity.
and you're
no,
a
but
man.
I see.
Well,
I
she's
see.
a jaded, and excuse my French, bitch. Like, that's all it is. She's a jaded bitch. Oh man, to be outwardly, so she had. I don't use the racist word, you know, freely like everybody does, but by her logic, yeah, I guess she would be, because she's definitely sexist, right? To look at a whole other gender and just see them as proprietors of evil and doing bad and potential to be like monsters is fucking sad, first of all. But secondly, like, wow, she needs some serious therapy. But from her comment, it sounds like she is not afraid to talk about how black people are more likely to commit crimes. So women, you know, you should be afraid of black men, because black men are have the highest potential to be monsters that will assault you. Like, that's her whole argument. And I don't think she realizes, or she realized that and doesn't care. I don't know. It's always nice. Like, feminism and racism goes hand in hand, right? They're both very strong isms. I don't know. How do people have these kind of ideas in 2023? Like, if you look at everything black and white in that kind of way, it's kind of silly, right? Because the majority of black men aren't going to assault her, you know? And if she's smart, probably never happen. Like, if you're going somewhere you shouldn't be, probably should bring someone, or just not go there in general. Try to be out there like, there's ways to mitigate the chances of that. Like, yeah, that one was rough. That ending was just like funny. Like, she just outed herself as being racist. Like, you can't make this up. Like, I don't get it. Like, am I scary? Like, would she look at me and say, I gotta cross the street, this black man's coming down? Like, I'm fucking 5'7". Like, am I equally as dangerous to her because of my race as like a 6'3" white guy? Because I'm becoming more crimes. I don't know. On to the next one, I guess. Jesus.
Majority of social laws favor women due to them being the majority of voters and population of the U.S. So if your complaint is the imbalance of women in government, you guys control the majority vote. Patriarchs work. Matriarchs always fail.
There's never been, we don't have any recorded matriarchies. So this whole matriarchs fail thing, there are no recorded matriarchies. We have no idea what the fuck it looks like.
I mean, if something is, I don't know, situation's right, but I mean, the fact that there hasn't been one is probably a sign that it wouldn't work. Or no recorded ones. Who knows? Maybe they didn't last very long.
Well,
or they're not strong enough to make it last.
Related to this is there was this show. It was like a reality TV show where they put a group of men on an island and a group of women on an island, and
yeah,
let's just say it didn't go well.
Yeah,
for the women.
Yeah, no kidding.
They had to like get rescued and shit 2 days in. The men.
Yeah, no
had
kidding.
A
you take a
civilization.
modern woman who hasn't been taught survival skills.
Okay, she's trying to say a modern woman. The modern men. Hello. Do you think we're out here building fires and shit? What the hell? What is she trying to? She's trying to specify like women who were born 600 years ago would have been able to do it. No man's help. It's like, yeah, okay, sure.
They're not taking Spartan women onto these fucking shows.
I'm not sure exactly.
Spartan women.
But they
how
took
many
like,
Spartan women were there? Not a lot.
It might have just
they
been
died.
like average dudes, average chicks.
Yes, men are stronger. Men are bigger. They can survive better.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
So why would women be in charge of society?
So are you
why
in
would
favor of the
work?
patriarchy?
I think that
do you kind of like the
patriarchy could work.
It could work.
It could work.
You're about to be ostracized.
It's like capitalism. It's capitalism.
Oh, okay.
I think that
what?
I love capitalism. I have some criticisms.
Women control the market and they make the majority of consumer purchases. So, okay. And women do better. Women definitely do better in capitalism. Like you can't call something a patriarchy if men are negatively affected en masse in comparison. Like that's so weird. It's not a society built by men for men if men are suffering more than women. It would have to be lopsidedly women suffering for it to be a true patriarchy. Because there's a lot of things that women can do now that hurt men actively, like divorce, which 100% hurts men majority of the time. Like, there's so many other things. Like, I don't get it.
Right?
Okay.
I have some criticisms of the patriarchy.
She's got some criticism.
I think that you could be a feminist and still be invested in women's interests and believe that the patriarchy is our best bet. That's not me, though.
Can you still be a feminist, but also, like, want a dude to, like, pay for first dates and, like, protect you and, you know, want all these nice things?
Sure.
Okay, just curious.
I think that's stupid, though. Why? I believe gender roles are kind of stupid. I don't believe in giving gender roles any merit.
I'm with you. I don't think, me personally, I don't want to pay for a girl on the first date, so.
You don't have to.
I'm a feminist. What's up? I'm with you. You heard it. This is the whatever exclusive. You heard it here first.
I fixed him.
I'm a feminist.
I fixed him.
I don't want to pay for girls on the first date. If there's a home invader, she can deal with it. It's all good.
She is. Oh man, I'm hoping she doesn't reproduce one day. We do not need more of that. Holy shit! Who hurt her? Like, first of all, it's not a patriarchy. Men are overwhelmingly negatively affected in the most severe forms of, like, poor representation of society, as you could imagine. Like, majority of the homeless, majority of people in jail, majority of people who die in war. Like, I don't know. What do you... Yeah, women are more likely to be SA'd, right? Sexually assaulted, but I don't think that's necessarily worse than going to a battlefield and just being murdered at 18 for some bullshit. Like, it's just not the same. I'm sorry. It's just some things are worse than that. Men are overwhelmingly negatively affected. And not to mention, not only are men are overwhelmingly affected, they're not given any kudos by women, really, or society as a whole. You're kind of given a, like, good job and then, you know, keep it moving. Like, there's no real help for men out there in the same way there is for women. Women's problems are always tended to and listened to, or you're forcibly told to listen to them. Will they always, all their demands be met? No, but, you know, like, they're taken way more seriously in society than men. Like, I don't understand where the patriarchy starts. That men take dominant roles in the household, not anymore. So where's the patriarchy? You can make the argument we used to live in one, I guess, if that's your only way of defining it. But even then, it's like, so what? They were the head of the household, then boom, sent off to war and they're dead. They got a bunch of widows. It's not much being head of a household when you die at 21. Like maybe the reason women live longer is because men do more dangerous jobs. Men do all of the hard, grueling work in society and are treated fucking horribly, and their mental health is ignored. Like, maybe that's why women tend to live longer. Right? Like, I don't understand. You could legit make the choice now in America to just be an obese piece of shit that contributes nothing to society. And your entire life plan could be to just have a man take care of you, and there will be one out there that will. And for men, that's just not an option. And it's not like, oh, men's lives are so hard. We're obviously more well-equipped to deal with our position. But this sort of idea that to just see history as just a patriarchy is so jaded and just wrong and just sad, honestly. Like, nobody wants to hear that shit. Like, imagine being a homeless dude on the street listening to that shit. Talk about how they should have succeeded because society is helping them. It's like some homeless veteran got his fucking legs blown off or something. Has hardcore PTSD, couldn't hold down a job. Tech wasn't big, maybe, when he was in fucking Vietnam. So he didn't have really many careers he could do. No good education. Like, relationships suffered because of PTSD. Now he's older, probably has barely any family left. And then you sit there and fucking tell him that he had to go to war and get his legs blown off because of the patriarchy and it's what he deserves. Like, people forget that the other side are also people, like, that lived lives. They're just so stupid. And I don't think, like, I'm not gonna live my life walking around like, oh, my life is so much harder than what. Like, women go through things too. And I think our issues are different. But I'm not the one sitting here saying, oh, it's a matriarchy because women have all of these advantages that men don't. It's like, I'd say we're probably closer to matriarchy. Women do better in school. I mean, women have the option, again, to just not work and just live vicariously through somebody else. And I think the vast majority of women have that option. Whether they want to do it or not is up to them. But you could say a lot of men wish they could have that kind of option. So, you know, lazy is a choice for women. It is a death sentence for men. We're going to do one more. Then I think I'm going to peace out and refresh my brain from this retardation. Oh, wait. Can I say that? The stupidity.
Stifler, ask the ladies to rate their looks on a scale of 1 to 10.
Oh my gosh.
I hate that.
So why don't we start?
Why? It's not that hard.
What did you rate yourself?
I'm a solid
say
5, by the way.
Did you say 10?
Because
I said I'm
including,
10.
like, I thought we were including like
Yeah,
personality, like.
But you were 10
values.
last time.
I was 10. Yeah.
Are you 10?
I'm
10?
still
She's
10.
still 10.
She's still 10?
She's
Okay, all right. She's a 10. What about you?
I'm gonna say 10.
Into the
She's
mic,
super
please.
cute.
A 10.
A 10.
A 9.
Oh,
A 10.
no. Honey. None of
You
y'all are
just have
10.
to say the number. I'm sorry, I talk so much. But do we just
Honestly-
have to say the number, or do we get explained?
I'm tell you right now. Tell y'all right now. All right, I'm gonna rate from. I'm gonna let them finish, and then I'll give my.
Well,
ratings.
the question is, rate your looks
I know
on
the
a scale of
question.
1 to 10.
And say why? Can you say why or no?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. I would say 9 because there's always room for improvement.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's all you had to say. You needed all that foreplay. We
Because
didn't
everyone's like,
need the
1,
foreplay.
2, 10,
Oh my
20.
God.
Like, I'm
Okay,
like-
all right. So 9. Okay, what about you?
I'm going to be super irritating and disagreeable, but I don't think that encouraging women to give themselves a value rating on their looks is conducive with feminism, so I'll have to pass. I'm a complex woman.
She's an ideology, right? Or as I like to call it, idiotology. Like, she's not a person. She's just an ideology. She's like, you can tell from the scope of, like, she doesn't think about, like, how do I feel about this? She thinks about what would a feminist do? Like, what would a movement do? It's like if you have a Democrat that sits there and thinks, what would other Democrats say to this question, instead of like thinking logically for themselves. Same with Republicans or like any group, like someone who's black, but they, I don't sit there and go, what would other black people say to the, like, what the fuck? Like, you're an ideology, you're not a person. And I hate listening to ideologies when it comes from someone that is who they are. Like, she has no personality. She's bland as a fucking cracker. No racism. It's just like, what's more bland than that? You know what I mean? She's like just bland. She's like fucking sandpaper though. Like, just, she's bland and just painful to the ears. It's sad because like she's so young and just like you could tell society just got a hold of her and she just wasn't mentally strong enough to think for herself. So now this is just who she is. Like, just fucking a feminist tiny person. She is really tiny. Anyway, I'm giving my ratings. So I'm gonna do it from right to left. Beret girl, feminist, and this is just gonna be on looks. I don't care about the politics. Honestly, like I give her a 6, slightly above average, because at least she isn't fucking fat. I don't think she is. I don't know. It's hard. She's wearing like weird fucking clothes. I get the whole like she wants to cover up her body as much as possible because she's a feminist and doesn't believe in men seeing her skin because they're potential rapists and murderers and something. They'll call aliens down and kidnap her. In the middle of the show, I'm surprised she came on the show. You know, Brian's a pretty strong guy. He might be able to take down all of the women on the podcast. But yeah, I give her like a 6, like slightly above average. She's not fat. She has a okay face, you know. Seems like she'd be really pretty if she just like didn't wear some weird fucking clothes. All right, next one. Girl in the red. She's like a fucking 9 out of 10 from the neck down, and then from the neck up, she's like a fucking 6. So I'm gonna average it out at a 7.5. Yeah, that's how numbers work. 7.5. That would be an 8. Yeah, it'd be like an 8. Next we have she looks like a fucking airhead. I don't even want this to be like a roast session or anything. That would be nice. She does not look very smart, but she looks very happy to be there. You know, she looks very pleasant. She looks like she's a fun person. If she's not an airhead, I'm sorry, but if she is an airhead, she's still cool. She's probably like the coolest one there. That's what she looks like. I give her a 7. Yeah, I give her a 7. I give her a 6.5. Looking at her.
Third.
Yeah, 6.5. Next one, I give you. I'm sorry. I give you like she's not fat though. I feel like that's probably the norm in America now. So, help me out, guys. What? I give her a 5. Yeah, I think 5 is fair. I'd say she's average. Because she's not fat, but it also doesn't look like she has much else going on. Cute little pink strip, though, in the hair. Next one, she's like... she kind of looks like a stripper. So drunk, she'd be like a fucking 7. But since I'm sober, I give her a 6. Next one, she's like...
I'm done.
She's cute. I can't really see much of her. She's like I give her a 6 point... Is she... I'd also give her a 6. And then her... Yeah, she's the closest thing to like what she said. Nah, I give her an 8. She's really cute. She doesn't have much else going on body wise, but you know, it is what it is. But she's really cute. She seems pleasant. Like, I would enjoy being in a room with her, you know?
You can acknowledge that some women are more attractive than others.
Again, I rate myself a very strong 5. I don't think I'm all that. The reason I give myself a 5 is because I do have abs. And I'm not fat. and I have light eyes.
Physically.
Sure.
That's the only reason. This boosts me up to average.
If you're gonna speak, you gotta speak into the
I
mic.
think everybody's beautiful. I don't think she'd be like off of like.
No, nah. Everyone. I saw the clip of somebody on this podcast at one point who was like fucking 400 pounds saying they're 10. Yeah, everyone's not beautiful. Like, if everyone's beautiful, then nobody is beautiful. That's not how that works. Like, everyone can't be the best. Everyone can't be great. Like, then you just have no one who's great. But you just take that away from people who put in, like, genuine effort into their body. Like, you're legit trying to take away the fucking amount of, like, extreme effort models make to look the way they do, the extreme effort, like, male, female models, bodybuilder. Like, you're taking away the effort, like, the person who goes to the gym to improve themselves. You're taking away all that effort and saying, well, you look just as good as the fat fuck who only eats Cheetos and plays World of Warcraft like he has a Asmongold metabolism. Like, you're saying that's the same as someone who goes to the fucking gym and works out every day and takes care of themselves, watches what they eat. Like, all that effort, that's the thing people don't get. Like, looks don't just come naturally after a certain age. I'm fucking sorry. Like, people have to work for that typically. Like, yeah, some people just naturally look better than others, but the best looking people work for that shit. Like, they weren't born that way. They're the best looking people work out and eat healthy and take care of themselves. And they may have been born in more privileged circumstances where they can do that, but they're still better looking because of the work they put in typically, you know? But go off, sis.
And like people who are not beautiful, I just don't think that we should value looks over other things. I think that
it's not about valuing looks over it. It's about giving someone
people are ugly and people are beautiful. It's just I hate.
So women don't fucking get this. So the reason it's just like, men don't care. You could be a fucking 6, but if your personality is great, you're going to be a great mother to my kids. Who fucking cares? I'm not looking for... I can't land a Victoria's Secret model. Most men can't, and we recognize that. When they do this rating thing, most men are typically, unless they're, like, joking around or, like, you know, got that fresh cut, they're not going to rate themselves super high. I've never heard a man give themselves a 10 out of 10 unironically. So, but it's not your entire value. It's just looks, because your looks will determine how much crazy we're willing to put up with. Like, if you're fucking 6 and you try to, like, control my life and tell me not to see my friends, fuck you. But if you're a 10, you know.
I hate this movement. Like, everyone is beautiful, everyone is sexy. There are things that you can be, like, being sexy, being beautiful is so useless. It's so useless.
How is that
pretty
useless?
useful. Yeah. It's pretty useful.
Yeah, being beautiful and sexy, that typically comes along with, I don't know, working out and being healthy nowadays. So, yeah, very useless, you know. Living past 60. Who would want to do that? Who would want to live to see their grandkids graduate high school? Who would want to do that? Fucking
it is. Yeah, it's pretty useful. No, for the first half of a woman's life, sure. It's not very useful
throughout your
in the second
entire
half.
life.
Yeah. No.
Well, yes, I mean, you want to be healthy your entire life.
Aging diminishes your attractiveness, but it's better to be an attractive 60-year-old than an unattractive.
It does not change your
60-year-old.
value. Well, yeah.
It doesn't change
you're gonna
your
die
value,
sooner because you're fucking
certainly have an impact on how people treat you.
Sure, for socialization, yeah, people will treat you differently if you were.
Well, yeah, it doesn't have an impact on.
But it doesn't have any real value.
Social.
Well, I mean, if you can't.
Socialization has value.
How do you determine what is real value? I mean, if you are,
it can bring value.
And just because something isn't valuable or as valuable later on, I'm not saying she's right about this, but I'm saying even if that point was correct, that something's not valuable later on, that doesn't mean you shouldn't strive for it now because it's valuable now, especially when you're looking for a life partner, someone whose genetics would be good for your bloodline. Like, what? It's like, that's stupid. Yeah, when you retire, your intelligence won't matter because you're not working and you mostly stay home. So intelligence doesn't matter. You shouldn't try to be smart. Stupid fucking argument.
If you are so physically attractive that you can basically monetize that to the, for example, for models.
Well, I'm against that.
Well, you
could be against that because you can't do it.
We're not talking necessarily about like nudity here. You're against.
Well, she's a woman, probably.
Like proper like magazine models, like a chick who's
as opposed to men as
Yeah,
objects in.
Yeah, it's almost like every scene, every Wolverine movie, they didn't have Hugh Jackman with his shirt off, or every movie Chris Hemsworth is in, he doesn't have his like shirt off, showing off his like fucking unrealistic body for the average man. Like, what do you mean the way women are used? What? Men are sexualized. It's just no one cares because you don't care about men. You just women this, women that.
For
'cause it's all about
advertisement,
you.
I'm against. Yeah.
You don't have
But
any
you don't
moral
object
ground to stand on.
You don't think that men are used in the same way?
No.
Perhaps not to the
fucking
same
stupid.
degree, and I mean that's reflected
You're
in the
fucking
fact
stupid.
that
She's
more
purposefully
women
There's a
being
different
models and they make
social
more money.
zeitgeist for women being sexualized than there is for men.
Well, I reject that, but
It doesn't matter if you reject it. It's what's happening around you.
perhaps in the context of, for example, if we're speaking specifically about sex work, sure.
It's everything. There.
What about gay men in today's society, or transgenderism, how that's sexualized? Like, this idea that men are sexualized is actually fucking crazy. Like, gay people exist. And I've seen a lot of sexual commercials. It's to the point men are being sexualized around children and people who they probably shouldn't be sexualized around. But again, because you're feminist, like, this is where this... I fucking hit my leg. This is where this ideology becomes dangerous, because people like her will completely ignore that. Because... well, men aren't sexualized, so this isn't happening. It's like, no, men are sexualized, and it can be dangerous. It can be dangerous for women too, but not really. Like, seeing a hot model pose with fucking soap in her hand or something, like, that's not really damaging. I don't think that's the downfall of society or women in general. Those women are getting fucking paid. It's not like someone kidnapped all of these women and were like, you're gonna fucking model for us. Pose with this underwear right now, or else. Like, I don't understand what she thinks is going on. Like, these are women making the choice to make a living off their beauty, which, once again, you said femininity wasn't appreciated, yet female models are a lot more common and well-known and higher paid.
There are advertisements for milk with milk all over a woman's face, and that's supposed to symbolize ejaculate.
There's a bunch of weird advertisements. What about men in their boxers?
And
they got their fucking...
It could just be milk.
It could just be milk. There's certainly advertisements that are just milk, right? I'm not saying that every time a woman is on an advertisement, it's sexualized, but it certainly is more sexualized, and
So
the zeitgeist is very different.
She's
for
saying,
women
well,
sexually
this
than it is
thing
for men.
happens more to women. That's her whole argument. Oh, my God. Who fucking cares, bro? Those women who do those advertisements make more money than most people will see in their entire lives in in like one shooting session. Like, what? There are people out here starving to death. Maybe not one shooting session, but you know what I mean. Like, in 1 year, they probably make so much more money than the average person will ever see. And we're talking about people who do like grueling work in like fields and shit. And she's out here complaining that women get paid for being hot. It's like, yeah, I don't think that's the problem. And I don't think a beautiful model who's like super like what's the word? Beautiful model who's like super well like liked in the industry and stuff. I don't think her being a model makes her unrespected or makes women unrespected. That's fucking stupid. I'm pretty sure they get a lot of respect. Like, a beautiful woman who's classily beautiful. I'm not talking about an OnlyFans model. A beautiful woman who takes care of herself and works hard to be beautiful and classy and elegant is going to be respected by a lot of people. And they're going to see her as beautiful, not as hot. That's what people don't understand. OnlyFans models, hot. They're not even real models. They're more like porn stars. So, whatever. Anyway, that was my reaction to the Whatever podcast. Feminist girl. I'm out. Peace.